Abe plopped himself into the farthest corner booth of Eddie's Eggs, the most happening little grease trap in Runwich. And he was immediately presented with a single-page laminated menu.
You know old Abe don't need no menu. You know what it is that I need.
You right, honey. I go get it for you.
When she turned, Abe reached out to pat her bottom. She tossed him a knowing smile. Everybody in the joint, Eddie included, thought Abe was a trucker. And like clockwork, he would pass through Runwich every month on the 30th. But today was the 27th. Nobody had noticed. Lamaya returned with a bowl of soft-serve vanilla ice cream, a smaller bowl of jalapenos, and a bottle of Louisiana hot sauce. Abe nodded his approval and slipped a 10 spot into her apron.
You are one strange old coot, but I sure do love you.
She sauntered back into the kitchen. Abe had just finished slicing up the jalapenos and scattering them in the hot sauce over his ice cream when a man wearing long sleeves, jeans, and a white Stetson pulled into the booth across from him.
Tell old Abe what's he doing.
There's been some strange developments, and I fear they don't bode well for our boys. Abe took another bite, licked hot sauce from his lip. He nodded, gesturing for Howard to continue. There was a hit on a carrion creeper nest earlier today. Over $100,000 worth of cocaine is estimated to be missing. But there's also the brutal nature of the killings that should concern us. Men were torn to pieces, violently mutilated. There was also a homicide at the Buckeye football stadium. A young man was brutally killed. I think these two crimes are linked, and they are anything but natural. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand.
You sounding a bit couillon, 'cause old Abe don't know what this have to do with anything.
Word is circulating on the street that the payload of stolen cocaine got stashed in a trailer on the outskirts of Sacred Oaks.
Fuck you saying? You meaning?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In my boy's trailer.
I know your boy, and he ain't no saint. But he ain't got that much devil in him to kill a bunch of fools and steal their shit.
I concur, old friend. That's why I think he's being set up. But by whom or what? I do not know yet.
Keep your ear to the walls. I'll go and see about this rumor and have a nice little talk with the boy.
Perhaps I should accompany you this time?
You got an oath to keep to the order.
That's my son. He doesn't even know I still exist.
He doing good. And you be scheduled to wear the granddaddy hat here soon.
Howard smiled bitterly. Then that means you too, right?
Yeah. I do reckon that the truth. But they won't know that.
I understand. And what of her mother? Will she know?
My sweet Carol done got herself ate up with the crazy bugs. Too much of that mojo walking in the stars done taken her sanity.
I would like to visit her sometime. Maybe she'd recognize an old face. Abe nodded. Howard fetched a manila folder from the waistband of his jeans and slipped it into Abe's hand. You'll be interested in the contents. Abe gave a wave. The first piece of paper was a newspaper clipping from 1985 with the mugshot of a Hispanic male. The next piece of paper was an official document from the Texas Corrections and Penal Department with yesterday's date. Simon Vaez had been released from Huntsville. Scooter sat on the back of the bike while Zach sped from the high school. He had no idea where he was going or why. Not sure if he cared. He was a collared dog and Zach held the leash. And yet, strangely, he felt empowered. He closed his eyes and listened to the wind rushing by, slapping him in the face. The roar of the engine. Scooter pushed the day's events from his mind. His immediate memory. Ignorance was bliss. Silently, Zach walked into the woods. He never told Scooter to follow, but Scooter did follow. He knew that's what Zach wanted, and Scooter was the devil's bitch. He did whatever Zach wanted. Zach and Scooter walked for over an hour before approaching the Rollins house in Sarah's Pond. A few yards offshore, Zach turned to Scooter.
Strip.
Why? The back of Zach's hand struck his face. Hot. Solid. Scooter staggered backward. His feet sank in pond muck, socks heavy with ripe moisture.
Strip.
Zach's hand snatched the shirt and tossed it into the murky pond where it was snagged on a small stumpy tree. A petrified claw jutting from the water.
The shoes and pants, too.
Why? Bitter blood dribbled from his top lip and from the gap in his gums where his tooth had been punched from his head by Remy. Or had it been K-Fest? The day's events were a blur. Scooter was sure of very little. He lifted his right foot out of the muck, untied the wet laces, slipped the shoe off and tossed it aside. The shoe thudded on the water and quickly sank. He did the same with the left one. Scooter had known the moment he found out Zach's true identity that he'd never be the same. But things had gone from bad to worse so quickly that Scooter felt disconnected from the world. In less than a day, he'd become a mass murderer and the servant of Satan. Satan who took the form of a 17-year-old high school student. A loner in black. But what bothered Scooter the most? Right at this moment, ankle deep in the cool, gritty mud of Sarah's Pond, wasn't that he'd killed those junky carrion creepers, nor that he'd sought brutal revenge against Lance. But what made Scooter feel so awful was that he had no remorse for their deaths. He only felt remorse for himself. Zach's face contorted. His height doubled. Fleshy mounds swelled, blackened with pockmarks. His eyes sank and yellowed, becoming orbs of seance candlelights. Lips thickened to that of a cow's maw. Two gnarled horns sprouted from his skull as his skin turned rusty red-brown.
Turn around.
With buckling knees, Scooter turned his back toward Satan. Cold, bone-thick, hard claws clutched his hips. Scooter was lifted from the mud like a ragged puppet. The devil pushed something hard and hot against his ass cheeks. A searing pain jabbed into his bowels. A pitchfork had been thrust into his anus. The pitchfork twitched and bloomed into a fiery cactus. A cloud of blood pooled the water beneath his levitating body. The bloody waters began to bubble and pop as though being boiled on a Bunsen burner. Then came the flood of lava that filled his bowels, the way water fills a balloon, bloating his intestines, scorching him from the inside out. And before his mind shut down, he recognized the dark truth. He really had become the devil's whore.